in your mind, give us a breakdown of how you think the fight will go between Wladimir Klitschko and Bryant Jennings.
I think that Wladimir Klitschko will use a good stiff jab to keep Brian outside, wear him down with that jab, and ultimately stop him inside of 7 rounds. It's a simple process. Just use the jab to keep him outside. Jennings is a very athletic boxer. He's agile. He comes. He tries to come in, but coming in on Wladimir Klitschko is going to be very difficult for him. He's going to have to eat a lot of leather coming in there, and I don't know if he can stand up to that kind of punching power.
Okay, so if you were training Jennings, what would be the keys for Jennings to be able to win the fight?
Well, if I told you that then they'd know everything. What kind of question is that?
The sort of question you either answer or you don't.
Well, there it is. I just answered it for you.
I mean, okay. Let's turn it another way. What does Bryant Jennings bring to the table that's good for this fight? Apart from the fact that obviously it's in America, it's in New York, Klitschko's back in New York. What does Jennings bring to the table? Because we know what Klitschko brings to the table. What does Jennings bring to the table as a challenger?
He brings an undefeated record. He's beaten what has been put in front of him, and he's been successful at it. He has the will, he has the desire, and having said that, we have to see now whether he's going to be able to raise his game or whether he'll be neutralized by staying on the same level that he's on now.
The question I've always asked Brian is, okay, you've dealt with guys the same height of you or maybe just a little taller than you. How do you deal with somebody who's physically so much bigger than you and now potentially stronger than you? How do you deal with that?
Well, he'd have to recreate himself as Evander Holyfield, who seemed to have no problem with doing that. You know, he'd have to take different things from Evander Holyfield's stature, style, and try to make it work for him. I think it's a bit late in the game to try to change itself.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, Evander had no problem of going in and out on big guys and working them.
Because Jennings is a smaller guy, how does foot speed, movement, how does that come into the game, or does that affect the game at all?
Speed and foot speed and movement is going to have to be his primary weapons to be able to have any success in winning this fight. You know, those things are very key in him winning the fight, because I can't see him just going standardly just boxing with Wladimir Klitschko, because every advantage belongs to Wladimir. He's bigger, he's taller, his reach is longer.
Well, I say their reach is similar, or either similar, or Jennings might have a slightly longer reach by 2 inches. How does that work?
Like I said, it's very difficult for anybody to land on Wladimir Klitschko. He's such a good defensive boxer.
Okay. So, Wladimir, so you think this fight finishes within 7 rounds?
Yeah, I think it finishes within 7 rounds. I think Jennings will come out in a blaze, and as the rounds go on, Wladimir will wear him down with punching power.
So you say with a blaze, you mean you think he'll come out charging, or you think he'll...
No, I think he's going to come out with a little more diplomacy than that. I don't think that he'll come out charging. He's too wise a boxer to come in on Wladimir Klitschko just charging in, you know, just trying to bully him. That's not going to work. He knows it. He wouldn't do that. He's too clever for that. His brain trust, Fred Jenkins and those guys are too clever for that kind of thing to go on.
So, okay, in the past, I know you've been heavily critical of fighters and their trainers and their training camps and the lack of experience that they bring to the table when coming against Wladimir Klitschko or the Klitschko camp. Is this different with Fred Jenkins in the camp? Because he's been around a long time. Does that change the balance of things, or is it another situation where a camp just isn't ready for Klitschko?
Well, for Fred Jenkins just to get Bryant Jennings to the #1 spot without being defeated says a lot. You know, he's an old school trainer. He's a knowledgeable guy. He's been around the block a few times, and he'll try to create a good, sound plan for Jennings to try to utilize against Wladimir KLITSCHKO. I just don't think that he can do much with what he's got against Wladimir KLITSCHKO.
Does he hit hard enough?
Jennings?
Yes.
He's a heavyweight. You know, I don't want to dismiss him and say that, no, he's not enough, that he's not punching hard enough. I don't want to say that. You know, I'd be the last guy to say that. But, you know, having said that, I think that Wladimir KLITSCHKO will formulate a defense to avoid getting hit, especially in those early rounds.
Okay. Okay. In terms of opponents, would you compare this fight with Wladimir like the David Haye fight, where you've got someone who's lighter, that's got a lot of movement? Would you say that's a sort of strategy that probably Klitschko will bring in, or?
Well, David for more of a defensive fight. I think that Jennings is going to try to make something happen. I think that he's going to somewhere explode in that fight and try to make something happen. He's going to go for it. So that's going to be the difference in the mindset coming into the fight. That David was there and became very defensive after he was hit in the fight, and Jennings is going to fight through it and try to make something happen. He knows that this is his chance, and he doesn't want to blow it, and he's going to try something. So I think the difference will be, like I said, is the mindset.